Okay, Tim, take it away.
Welcome. As always, if Mary has your email, you will get a link to the slides and a link to the presentation afterwards. One of the nice things about having the link to the slides is that the next time we do this class, or if there's an update, the slides will also get an update. So you can check this next year and you would still get relevant information. At least that's the goal. The other thing is feel free to ask questions in the chat. We will also stop at predetermined points and ask for questions. And you can either, again, ask them in chat. You can also use the raise your hand function on Zoom, or you can just unmute whenever we stop to ask for questions. This class will go over where I will actually go into Gmail and contacts in addition to the slides. So feel free to take notes or not take notes, either way. This is just the date when Gmail came out. So in case you're wondering how long you could have possibly had Gmail, this is the amount of time you could possibly have had Gmail.
I like that it's April 1st.
Yeah, a lot of people thought it was a joke, myself included, so I signed up for it. And I realize now that I really should have gotten a less unique name and just had, because it would have been pretty awesome if early on they didn't have the limit they do now where you can't really have your first name as it. And I just got Tim. That would have been pretty cool.
Would have been cool.
But that is clearly taken. All right, so some features. We're just going to kind of go through these and then we'll show you what they are afterwards. But snooze, you can basically right click on an email. And what this allows you to do is if it's something important, but you don't want to deal with it right now, you can tell it to snooze and then it will re-alert you at that predetermined time. So the reason why this is nice for someone like me is I get a lot of emails. So if I look at an email and say, oh, this is important, I'm going to do that later. By the time later comes around, I've had so many emails fill my inbox that I actually don't see it anymore and then I forget about it. But the snooze feature basically just puts it right back up at the top. And you can set snooze to varying times, all that fun stuff. The next thing is what Google calls their priority inbox. This is where your email can automatically kind of be sorted into different inboxes. So, all of your promotional email will be in one section. All of your update email will be in one section. And it can kind of separate that out automatically, and you can drag emails from one inbox to the other, and Google will slowly learn what email should be in what area. So this is really nice because if you get like a lot of Amazon packages or FedEx boxes or UPS, you can basically just, instead of searching for that, you can go to that inbox for updates and it will automatically be there and you don't have to kind of sift through as much information. Smart Compose, this used to be a new feature. It's been around for a while. It's basically going to try and auto-complete sentences for you. It can be nice, it can be annoying, but by default, I believe it's turned on. Next thing is you can create an event from an email. So if someone sends you an email and says, hey, we should get together this Saturday to watch a movie, you can say, yes, that would be great. And you can automatically, from within Gmail, add it to your calendar. And then that calendar entry will have the text of the email. And if any emails are sent back and forth on that thread, so if you reply to them, that would then also go into the event in calendar. It's very nice for meetings and things of that nature. The last one is create a task from email. You can select an email, hit add to tasks, and basically this is just a checklist. So you can, if you don't like the idea of hitting snooze, you can add a task to an email, and then you can go to your task lists and see your emails in that way. Whenever we go to the actual Gmail inbox, we'll also go over labels. This is kind of how you can quickly sort emails depending on your preferences. You can also add forwarding. So you can add forwarding in two ways. One way, you can create a filter to forward all specific information of a certain type to someone else. This is very useful if you have multiple members as part of your household. You all use the same Amazon account, for example, to buy things. Someone may buy something on an Amazon account which is owned by a different person. That person can forward all Amazon like delivery updates to another person. So you can kind of share information quickly in that way without having to manually, hey, did this say it was going to be shipped yet? Yes or no. The person has to go check their email. It can automatically send. Google also has an undo send option. This is like 10 seconds. It will wait before sending an email. I know personally that's exactly when I find all of my mistakes. Then you can undo that and kind of pull it back and make changes to it. You can create templates, and you do have an option to go into confidential mode. It's really not incredibly useful, but if your ears perked up whenever you heard confidential mode, then you'll probably enjoy it. But wait, there's more. Billy Mays here. Personal level indicators, we'll go over that. You can change your display density. So what that is the space between individual emails. You can make it more compact so you can see more emails at once, or you can make it larger so it's kind of easier on the eyes. Google does have the option to send and receive money, and you can also manage your payments and subscriptions through Gmail, through Google. So this would be something like the New York Times. If you have an annual subscription for that, you can add that to your Google subscriptions and automatically pay it through Google, so you can kind of get more updates than just paying it normally would give. Even more, we'll go over this in a little bit, and we have a page on contacts as well. So at this point, are there any questions before we get into the main part of kind of showing you around Gmail? Like, is there anything that someone would specifically want to have covered as part of the tour?
Well, I have a time-sensitive issue with sending out a couple of days ago a group email, and there are probably 25 people in this group, and everybody who has a Gmail account, which was probably 15 or 18 of those people, they were all bounced. And this has never happened before. And I have a very long email with all the information, which makes very little sense to me. So I don't know whether an issue like that is something that could be covered today, or whether that's maybe too specialized.
Yeah, so anytime you receive a bounce email, you would want to look at basically that really long indecipherable text. It should tell you at what point it failed. Generally, if something fails, it'll be because of, in like a mass email like that, it will be because of like a sender score. So you have this invisible number, kind of like if your credit rating was invisible, that tells other emails if your email is trustworthy. Generally, only brands will have this issue where they send out, thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of emails at once. But it can happen for individual people. But that would be more of like a Wednesday thing, where I'd be able to read the text of the bounce back, or you can forward that to Mary, and then I can look at it that way.
Well, most of the text is numbers and so forth, which mean nothing to me. So
If you want to give that to me, and yeah, Tim, I will forward it. When Tim talked about the Wednesday thing, what he's talking about is tech drop-in, where he will sit with an individual on a one-on-one basis. You can do it through Zoom or you can do it in person in the library. And that's a great way to solve these sort of very, very specific problems. But I will scan this and send it to Tim, and if he can see the reason for it, I'll get back to you.
Or, yeah, I have it here, I could email it, I suppose,
If you want to email it to me,
but I don't know to whom.
you can email it to me and I'll give you that email address. Okay, go ahead, Tim.
And that's Wednesday, is Wednesday?
Wednesdays from
Every
12,
Wednesday?
every Wednesday from 12 to 1. You sign up, it's first come, first serve. Tim will stay until he's seen everyone, as long as you've signed up like at 12:30, 12:45.
You sign up ahead or you just sign up when you get
You,
there?
when you get there. And you can do it through Zoom or you can do it in person, either way. And it's wonderful. The only caveat is that he's doing it this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, Tim, you're not going to be here. We're going to have a very special tech drop in. It will be Excel. So if you have an Excel question, Sandy B-Base is coming and she is an Excel genius. So
Yes. And any Excel questions you have, she would be far better equipped to answer than myself. And one thing about Tech Drop-In is if you have any follow-up questions after this class, you can definitely show up on Wednesday. But I also want to say that if you email Mary, she will send that to me, because oftentimes a lot of these questions can be answered in kind of the asynchronous communication way. The Wednesday Tech Drop-ins, it's generally it goes one of two ways. The first way is like 0 to 2 people show up and everyone gets as much time as they want. And then the second way is 6 or 5 or 6 people will show up, and then it kind of gets very crunched. And then I always feel bad for someone who showed up at 12:10, but they are 6th in line, and someone may only be going there on their lunch break kind of thing. And then they'll have to leave at 1, even though I haven't gotten to them yet. So it is a first come, first serve, but always feel free to email Mary, and we can most often generally help through that medium as well. We had a question in the chat of, if I get a Zoom link in an email, how do I add it to my Google Calendar? That would be under create an event from email, where it will take everything that's in the body of the email and add it to your calendar. And we will definitely go over how to do that. So this is what Gmail looks like, or at least this is what my Gmail looks like. I realize it may be slightly difficult to see, so I will make it a little bit bigger. This is the interface. On the left-hand side of the Gmail interface, you'll see things like your inbox, starred, snoozed, important, sent, all this stuff. So this is kind of where you navigate through your different categories or labels that you have applied to your email. In general, you'll spend all of your time in the inbox, which is the first option. If you look to the right of the inbox, there's a number. This is the number of emails that I have in here that are unread. For those of you that subscribe to the 0 inbox lifestyle, I applaud you. My main email account has over 100,000 unread emails. So that's kind of a personal choice.
I think that's a generational choice personally.
Yeah. So if you click on an email and you go to this little time icon that looks like a traditional watch face, or right click, you will see snooze. So if I got an email from someone and it was important and I wanted to respond to it, but I couldn't right then, I know personally, if something isn't bolded, whenever I go back to look at it, I will oftentimes forget about it. So what you can do is you can click on an email. So you can select it, right click, and hit snooze. It will then pop up with basically, how long do you want this to snooze? You can do later today, tomorrow, later this week, this weekend, next week, or you can pick a date and time. So later today at 6, I will then want to look at this email. So I will hit later today. As you can see, it has left my inbox. I no longer see it here. And at 6 p.m., it will come back and it will alert me that an email that I deemed important should be viewed. If I want to see the emails that I've snoozed before, like to check to see if I've snoozed anything, I can go over to the left-hand side, hit snoozed, and I can see the 2 emails that I currently have set to snooze. And on the right-hand side, I can see when they will pop back into my inbox, and that is 6 p.m. If I want to create a calendar entry from an email, I would click on it, and I would open it, and then I would go to, I believe, this. I would go to the drop-down ellipses, so the vertical ellipses, which is titled More. I would click on it, and I would go to Create Event. Click. This will put the subject of the email as the title, and it will automatically create an event for me. If there is a time mentioned in the email, it will generally automatically set that as when the event would be. If that is incorrect, or if it's like this and you want to set the time manually, you can click up here and set how long the event is going to be. It is going to be on the 7th, 1:30, nope, more like 2:30 to 3:30 p.m., February 7th, 2023. I would hit save. And now I can see on my calendar, this event is here. If I click on it, it will show me the body of the email. And if it's an email from Zoom or something of that nature, it would then kind of have all those links here for you to view. If you want to edit it afterwards, you would just click on it, go to the edit event, and you can change whatever you want here. Does anyone have any questions on basically creating an event from an email?
Does that make sense to everyone?
Mary, can I move over just so I can see it better? Thanks.
Oh, Colette asked in chat, how do you invite others?
Yep, so a couple different ways. You can do it straight from Gmail, but since I've created this one, you would just click on it and you would either hit email event details or edit event. In edit event, you'll go back to this page, and under guests, you can add whatever email you want. So I could invite Mary. You can invite people who are not using Gmail, just in case anyone was worried about that. But you would just add guests, you would click, and then it would send that person an email. Basically saying, hey, there's this event. Do you want to add it to your calendar? So again, you would go to the event, click, edit, guests, and add a guest. When you're adding guests, one thing you also want to make sure is of these guest permissions. If you allow them, if you have this checkbox under modify event, it would allow the person to make changes to the event. This would be important if you're co-hosting or if someone else, maybe you want them to add information to the event, to the calendar entry. It would allow them to, add text down here, change the time, that sort of thing. And in case you're wondering, any change that is made here will affect all of the guests who are invited to it. So they will see any updates you've made. The other options are invite others. If you have this checked, it would allow anyone you invite to invite more people. And the third option is see guest list. This allows other people who have been invited to the event see who else has been invited to the event. All right. So create task from email. So if we go to an email, we'll just use the exact same one, select it, and we hit this check mark with a plus button, add to tasks. This will add this email to my task list. What this is basically a checkbox that will remind you of emails you should follow up on. Once you have followed up on the email, you can mark it as completed, and then it will be removed from the list. If you want to view what items you have on your task list, you would go to the right-hand side of the screen. There is a blue circle with a blue check mark, and it is labeled tasks. You would click on it, and it will open up your tasks from the right-hand side. If you want this to close, you would then hit the X on the right-hand side, top right, where it says close tasks. And then that kind of pane will slide back over. I had mentioned about these different inboxes up here. You can turn these on or off. These are kind of automatically filtering emails that's done through Google. So as you can see, my primary is basically just stuff from Google. Under promotions, I would have all of my shops that this account is set up to receive. So mostly from Drop, Grammarly, Zoom, Honey, all that fun stuff. So these are promotions. Social, Instagram. Instagram shows up, and updates. These are things like Instapaper, CNN, just general reminders. If you think that something is incorrectly in one of these options, you can go here and you can say, I want this to go to promotions. And now that email and emails like it will go to, will show up in the promotions option or promotions inbox. The big thing for me would be a combination of two different tips. Whenever you are signing up for something, an easy way to figure out if that company is giving away your information via like a mailing list or something is to add a plus sign in your email. The other benefit is this will give you the ability to easily filter, which is what we're going to go over next. So, for example, if I were to sign up for CNN, I would add plus CNN to my email address at gmail.com. Then anytime CNN would send me an email, it not only would have them as the sender, but that can change, but it would have anyone sending an email to this address, because I've added the plus CNN, I know that it's from CNN. What that would then allow me to do is it would allow me to create a filter. I've already gone and done that down here, or a label, or a filter to create a label. I've already done that down here, so you can see that any email that has been sent to my account with the plus CNN to it already has this label automatically attached, and I know it's from CNN. The benefit of this is if you start getting emails from like a random person that you never signed up for, you'll be able to see what business kind of gave away your email.
So Tim, you can do that without I mean, Gmail, it doesn't affect your Gmail account?
Nope. Basically, Gmail reads anything after the plus as whatever you want to put in it, and it doesn't really affect anything on the Gmail side. It's basically just useful for the ability for you to create filters and for you to see what companies give away your email address.
Amazing.
If you are someone who likes to label things, or if you were someone who used to like to put things in folders, your emails, Gmail makes use of labels for that. To create a new label, you would go to the bottom left where it says labels, you would hit plus, and you would enter a new label name. And you can choose if you want to put that label under any of your other labels. Hit create. Now I have a test label. You can change the label color. So you can make it, orange. And then I can say this, or I can say, this email, I want to label it. So I would go to the labels icon, which is kind of like a sale tag. You would click on it, and I would say, I want to label this as test, and apply. And now I can see that the label has added itself to the left of the subject line. This makes it very easy for you to see, for you to be able to tell what email does what with colors if you are into organizing your inbox in that manner. So that's kind of how to add a label. One thing you can do is you can search mail. So if I just search for CNN, search options. So if I search my email for anything with the words of keyboard, so any email that has the word keyboard, I have greater than 1 year. I have the ability to do two things. One is search. This would then give me all of the results of this search. And the second is create a filter. If I choose create a filter, I will then be able to tell Gmail what I want an email that fits these prerequisites to do. So I can automatically archive it. I can mark it as read. I can star it. I could apply the label, choose label test. I could forward it, delete it, send it to spam, a whole bunch of other things. Once you've created a filter, it will then automatically start the next time I receive an email that has the word keyboard in it, it will then apply this filter to it. Are there any questions about filters?
Can you give us just a few examples? You did when you were talking about filters earlier, but how you would use this?
Yeah, so you would use this as much as you want. It's a very powerful tool that not a lot of people kind of need. But for example, if you always want emails from your family to be labeled as from family or to be starred or kind of shown in a way that makes it more easy to see, you can create a filter for that. If you want a filter that will notify you or automatically, star anything that has that says it's being delivered, you can do that. If you want to create a filter to kind of ignore someone or automatically put them in your spam folder, you can do that. So it's a kind of a way to do whatever you want without having to physically interact with the different emails. So for example, right now, I have a couple different filters, and I can get there from hitting the settings icon in the top right. That's the gear icon. And I have these filters. So if the email has an attachment, it is labeled as having an attachment. That makes it easier to search. If an email is sent to smurfedmail or smurfedmail+cnn@gmail.com, I don't have this one doing anything, but I have it smurfedmail+cnn@gmail.com. Do this, apply label CNN. If an email has the word keyboard in it, it will apply the label test. If anything I receive is from Mary, it will apply the label work. So you can do, you can create, I mean, absolutely fantastical filters. Subject high. I mean, if you have like bill payments, you can have them go and get labeled. If you have like a yearly subscription thing, you can make sure it's starred. It's kind of up to you how powerful or how useful you find filters.
Amazing.
Let's see. Just want to make sure I get through all the bullet points I've outlined at least. Use labels. Yep. Forwarding. So one of the other things you can do with filters, is basically create forwarding. And this would once again allow you to forward things such as Amazon delivery notifications to everyone who has access to your Amazon account, that sort of thing. But the big forwarding thing is if you have multiple addresses, email addresses, or if you're moving from one email to another, you can add a forwarding address. What this will do is it will take every single email that your account gets and it will forward it to another account. So this is generally more useful if you're switching from something like AOL to Gmail, where you can take AOL and say forward everything to Gmail. Because we all know that if you have a new email address, not everyone is going to email your new email address. They're going to continue emailing your old one. And forwarding like this would allow you to still receive those emails. If you want to filter everything, you would add a forwarding address. If you want to forward specific types of email, that's when you would create a filter in order to forward things to a person or yourself in a different email address.
So there's a question in the chat about the forwarding.
Does it notify the sender of your change of address? It does not, but what will happen is if someone emails your email A and you have your email A forwarded to your email B, what will happen if you respond is the email will get sent to email A, it will get forwarded to email B, and then you will respond using email B. Hopefully the person will eventually get the message that you are using a different email, but they don't necessarily get just a notification saying that your address is changed. You'd have to manually send that out. I see a hand up in chat. If you want to unmute yourself.
Hi, I guess that's me. My question was a long time ago. When you were talking about a sender score, you mentioned sender score and emails going to spam, and that's kind of, I know, slightly off of this subject, but are there resources or like how would I find my sender score, improve my sender score, and stop my emails from going into people's spam folders?
Yeah, so, well, the one unfortunate answer for that is this is kind of one of the reasons why some marketing organizations exist, which are very expensive. And they will basically do all that information for you. I don't really know of a good free way to find your sender score.
So what
I can definitely look,
organization that does that?
but generally, so if someone's in like a large organization and they have a marketing department, the
Oh,
marketing
yeah.
department will have like a fairly expensive tool that will monitor their sender score,
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
I'm not a large company. I'm like, solo, so I think.
Yeah. I mean, I can
Uh,
look into it and see if there are any kind of more reasonable alternatives or just kind of like a free credit check, if you will, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then like what kinds of things to do to like preventative.
Yep. Ironically, one of the important things is to make sure that the email you're sending is being sent from the same address as it was sent from. That sentence was confusing. But if you
Yeah.
remember, whenever I was talking about filtering and forwarding to someone else, and then you would just reply and it would show your new email address,
Right, yeah.
that would lower your sender score because it looks to an
Yeah.
automated system, it looks like you're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
pull one over on someone and
Yeah,
change
I
your
don't do
email
that.
address.
Yeah, I don't do that, but it's just a matter of like, I don't know, sending too many emails or um, too many emails that look the same. Like
Yep.
sending the same email out to a number of people.
Emails that look the same will start to trigger it, but the most important thing is, or the thing that will change it the most is if people are manually adding it to spam or if people aren't opening it. If enough people don't open your email, then that would decrease the sender score. And I know the library dealt with that a few years ago.
I don't know how to control that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, like I did do some reading on it and it said like at the bottom, you have to have like an unsubscribe so that, and you have to have your a physical address listed there so people like know that you're a real person or whatever.
Yeah, the
And
automated system will trust it more if it has
yeah,
those things.
yeah, but I just don't know what to do. I still have a lot of emails going into spam folders. I just don't know how to do that. I did finally at least figure out how to have the email be marked as read so I can see if somebody read it or not.
Yep.
But if they haven't read it, I don't know whether they just didn't read it or it went to their spam folder.
Exactly.
And then
And
once
that's
in a
kind of
while,
where the
somebody will have read it, but it doesn't check off as read. And I'm not sure why that must be some setting on their computer or something, but. Yeah.
so for example, if I were to open an email, it wouldn't send that information back because of the various extensions I have that block that sort of information from being tracked.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, so I just have a lot of things going to spam and I just don't know how to fix it and, yeah, so.
Yeah, it's one of
And
the
I don't even know
unfortunate
what my
things.
sender score is.
Yeah, it's not a number that's, at least in my experience, very easy to find without
Right.
kind of paying for it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I guess that's, yeah, so if you have any resources that can help in that direction, if you can let me know, that would be fabulous.
Yeah, I'll send Mary anything I find.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. So templates, I'm going to skip templates at the very end. Someone can ask me about them. I don't use them. I don't find them very useful, but this is kind of where you would, change your text to be Comic Sans if you want, or your background of your emails to be blue, that kind of thing. All right, so basically most of the main changes you can do in Gmail will be using the settings option. So if we go to the top right, there's the gear icon, click, And these are the quick settings. These are generally what people want to do. Change your theme, inbox type, all that fun stuff. You know, what happens whenever you click on your email. Density, a lot of people care about this. I like the default, but you can see all the settings if you click on see all settings. And this is where you just get to see everything. So you can do things like maximum page size. You can say, I want to see more conversations per page or less before you would have to hit the next button. You can do hover actions. That's where if you hover over something, it will kind of tell you what it does. You can go through these and kind of, it's fairly clear what they do. But if you're at all worried about it, I just wouldn't click on it. All right, the main thing I want to show here are stars. So some people like labels, some people like stars. I myself am a star person. That's probably from a movie somewhere. You can drag the stars between the lists. And what that means is not in use to in use. So these are not as powerful as labels, but for me, they're kind of just more my style. So what you can do is you can, in your head, know that you have something for this green check mark, or this yellow, or this red exclamation point, or this yellow star. And I would go to inbox, and I would click on the star icon once, yellow, twice, green, 3 times red. And now that's an easy way for me to see on the left-hand side that these have been starred. So I would do that for follow-up. Or if I ever receive an important email, I will then star it. And then I can go to the left-hand side right under inbox, click on starred, and I can see all the emails I've starred. If I use this, I generally use this instead of like a task list. If something is no longer needs to be starred because I've completed it, you would then go to starred, click on the email, and then when you go back, it's no longer there. So stars are kind of an easy way to visually get some information about an email or manually set it yourself. Personal level indicators. Some people really like this. So if we go to settings, general. So we go to settings, general. If we go to down the page, personal level indicators. Right now I have it set to no indicators. So if I have it set to show indicators, what that does is it will display an arrow by messages that are sent to my address and to a bunch of other people, and 2 arrows to messages that are sent only to me. This is occasionally useful in seeing, in just at a glance, being able to see what emails have just been sent to you specifically versus, you know, a group. Generally, this is a work thing, but some people find it useful. That's that. All right, conversation view, we'll skip that. Size, schedule send. All right, schedule send. If you're like me and you like working at times that other people don't, you may run into an issue where if you send an email out at 10 p.m., that person, whenever they get into the office at 8 a.m., your email that you sent will now be like kind of visually pretty low. So it won't be right in front of their face. So what you can do is if you go to compose, start doing an email. And I want this to send at 8 a.m. So if I click on send, it would just send it right now. If I go to the right of the send button, more send options, I can click on that and click on schedule send. This would then allow me to send at a certain time. I can pick a specific date and time. Google is smart. I said 8 a.m. in here. It now puts 8 a.m. here, tomorrow morning, scheduled send. Also, if you look at the bottom here, I have the undo option. That's all that the option is for unsending an email, is for about 5 seconds, you can undo it. Now, if I take another look at the left-hand side under scheduled, I can see that there's a 1. That means I have 1 email scheduled to send. It will then tell me when it's scheduled to send on the right-hand side. And if I click on it, it will then tell me the full details of tomorrow at 8 a.m. And you can schedule these things weeks in advance.
Sorry, that's the Red Cross calling me.
No problem, they're important. If you are the type of person who likes to use keyboard shortcuts because they're faster, one of the big keyboard shortcuts you can do in Google is the keyboard shortcut for all keyboard shortcuts. So that is Shift ? It will open up this window, which will show you all of the keyboard shortcuts available. I'm not really going to go over these in too much detail, but that is the keyboard shortcut to show you keyboard shortcuts. This will change as they add or remove keyboard shortcuts, so you can always click on that and stay up to date. And that is Shift and the question mark. Went through stars, which is my favorite thing. Does anyone have any questions about Gmail before I move to contacts?
We do have some questions. Go ahead.
Is there any way to specially delete certain emails, like in a category? Like if you have a lot of emails and you just want to get rid of, excuse me, certain ones?
Yeah, so so that's kind of where you would do the filter. So if I wanted to get rid of every email that was sent by, let's pick something, Grammarly, Grammarly, Gra. You can clearly see that I need something like Grammarly in my life. So I spelled it wrong. See, spelled it wrong. Google was smart. They realized what I wanted. They searched for Grammarly. So I can do it in multiple ways. One, I just kind of search for the email type that I would want to get rid of. If I wanted to do a more advanced search, I would hit this option on the right-hand side. Kind of looks like an abacus. At least I think that's what they were going for. Click on this. You can specify from a certain person. You can also specify to a certain person. The reason why the to option is really nice is because if you remember, whenever you're giving out your email to a service like Grammarly, you might want to do the plus Grammarly affix to your email. And then that would allow you to find all the emails that were ever sent to that email, which is a part of your email, if that wasn't confusing enough. You can then do size. So if you need to free up size or space in your email inbox, you can search for size, date, doesn't have, has the words Grammarly, from, subject, all that stuff. So anyway, we searched for it. Now what you can do if you want to just mass delete these is hit the checkbox at the top, which will select all. Make sure that you go down and visually inspect that these are all emails that you would want to delete. And then you can hit the trash can. Now, if you want to get super reckless, which is what I do, you can see at the top, it says all 50 conversations on this page are selected. Then there's an option to select all conversations, emails that match this search. So if I click this, you can see that I'm on the top right, it says 1 of 50 or 1 through 50 of many. If I select all conversations that match this search, it would select every email in my inbox that matched having the word Grammarly involved. So it would take everything. This is kind of dangerous because potentially there could be an important email that I care about that has the word Grammarly in it. And that's kind of why the filter up here is important. So you can like specify from, so you're very specific with what you're deleting. Once I have these selected, I would then hit the delete button. It will then ask me if I want to delete it. I would hit OK. And then everything would get moved to trash. Did that answer the question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for asking.
I need to do some more.
Can you show them how I do it with my right click?
Is that where you select it and
I
then
select-
find
I
like
right
this?
click- yeah, like right click that.
Yeah,
Find email.
so you would go to the search icon, find emails from Honey. And as you can see, it added the search criteria from this email address. And then you would be able to select and then delete from here as well.
That just prevents me from misspelling.
Yep. So it's very useful. Find emails from Twitter. Apparently I only have one. That's cool. All right.
Did you have a
So
question?
any other questions on Gmail?
Any other questions on Gmail before we move on to contacts? He's given you a lot, believe me.
I'm glad you're recording it.
Exactly. Go ahead, Tim.
All right, so we're going to switch over to Google Contacts. I already have it open. I will close it. So how do you access your Google Contacts? Well, the first option is you can go over here to the right-hand side, click on the contacts icon. That will show you your contacts, but you're not really able to do much with it. You're just able to see them. So what I prefer is going to the actual Contacts app. You change Google Apps by going up to the top right, hitting the thing that looks like a 2D Rubik's Cube, and then you would then find Contacts. Google Contacts, the icon is a person with another person overlay. Once you click on that, it will open your Contacts application in a new tab.
That's a large family.
Yes, all of them seemingly having the same last name of Fake, in case you're wondering if I was showing you real email addresses. So label contact groups. So one of the questions we get a lot is kind of like, I'm a part of a mailing list and I need to send something out to 25 members every week, and I don't like typing in their names. Perfectly acceptable, makes a ton of sense. So what you do is you create a label. So as you see, I have already added the label of book club over here under labels on the left-hand side. But if I go to contacts and I think that Abby, that Jake, and that Margaret all want to be a part of my book club, I can select them. I can go to manage labels, which is the sale looking icon, and I can choose a label to apply to them. I will select book club and hit apply. Now they are all in the book club. If I look on the right-hand side, I can see book club and cooking club is what Abby is a part of. Now, what I can also do is just to see who's in it, I can go over to the left-hand side under labels, click on it, and I see all of the different emails or different contacts I have that are in this label group. Now, if I'm going to be sending an email to my book club, what will I do? I will go to my Gmail, I will go to Compose, and under To, I will start typing the label name, book club. It'll come right up. It says it has 8 members. I will click on that, and it will automatically add them all to the email. I mean, generally, if you're sending an email to tons of people, you'd want to, CC them, but, it works there too. Book club, and it adds everyone.
Can you show them how to do that with BCC? So people, if you're trying to
Yeah.
protect people's emails.
So same thing. So if I want to add the entire book club to me and Mary's secret email chain, I would go to BCC, which is clicking down here, and then type in, actually, I'll go knitting club.
Yes.
Knitting club is going to be BCC. In case you forgot, whatever you put in the To field is who you're sending the email to. Whoever you put in the CC field is whoever you're going to carbon copy the email. So it basically is kind of like saying, hey, you're not the main person in this conversation, but I still want you to be a part of it. And then BCC is blind carbon copy. This is what you do when you're sending like a sassy email to someone and you want to let their boss know that you sent it to them. And then that's when you would add BCC. So the person receiving the email does not know that the email was also sent to someone else. All right. So that is labels. If you click on someone's name, you will then see their contact details, their name, what club or what labels I've applied to them, and it will also allow you to hit edit. If I hit edit, that will then allow me to add all of this information. So birthday, notes, more, PO box, website, every single option you would ever want to have as a in your contacts. Add color to labels. Now, if you use a lot of labels, if you look on the right-hand side, they are all gray. So if you have a very large contact list and a ton of labels, it actually gets fairly difficult to see what they're a part of. If you have a particularly important label, like clients, what you can do is you can rename the label. Now, Google does not allow you to add color to the label itself, but what it does allow you to do is add an emoji. I know, it's amazing. So you would basically open up this to rename the label. And if you're on a Windows computer, I believe it is Windows period. And if you're on a Mac, it is Control, Command, and Spacebar. So Windows period. And I see all of my emojis and I can search through them however I want. So one of the nice things about this is you are able to make it have a color and it stand out a little bit more essentially. So I know if I ever have the green pukey face, that it is the label of clients. And it just makes it a lot easier to see on the right-hand side. So that's how you kind of fake add color to the labels. One of the important things is you will want to add the emoji to the end of the label, not the beginning, because the emoji would then be taken into account for alphabetical order. So it could mess some stuff up a little bit. Change list settings. If we go to the right-hand side and we click on the 3 vertical periods, we can once again change the display density from comfortable to compact, just like we can with email. And the other one is we can change column order. So for example, if you care a lot more about someone's labels than their email, we can change it so that the labels will show up on the left-hand side. Done. Now we can see that we see name, labels, and email in that order. So you can kind of just change this order around based on which is more important for you to look at. If we go to settings menu and we go to more settings, this contacts doesn't have that many settings, but basically the main thing you're allowed to do in here is sort by first name or last name. So I personally don't remember last names that well. I barely remember first names. So I like to sort by first name. But if you kind of like the more old school approach of sorting everything by someone's last name, you can select the sort by last name option. Delegate access. What you can do is if you are generally in a business setting, and you want someone else or a different email account to have access to all of your contacts, you can delegate access so that that person can have access to view and even change, modify, or add to your contact list. So it's kind of useful if you're switching between 2 email accounts instead of like downloading and uploading or exporting and importing your contact list. You can just kind of share it through delegation. It's also useful if you have someone, who manages some stuff for you, or if you're in an office setting and you want someone else to be able to access your contact list, maybe add things of their own. All right, so 2 more things. Don't worry, we're not going too far over time, seeing as technically this is till 2:30. 2 more things. So if we go to the top right, there's the gear icon and undo changes. If you are in here, or if you've delegated access and someone else has been in here and made changes, and you realize, I wish I didn't make those changes, what you're able to do is undo them. You can undo your changes from 10 minutes ago, so fairly recently, from 1 hour ago, from yesterday, 1 week ago, or custom, up to 30 days. So you can kind of, if you've made a whole bunch of mistakes today, you can say, I would prefer to go back to my contact list of yesterday and undo everything. The next thing I want to point out is if you are importing or just adding a ton of contacts at the same time, you're bound to get duplicates. As you can probably have seen while I've been clicking around, Google has kept yelling at me that it's found a duplicate. So it will let you know. But if it doesn't let you know, on the left-hand side, merge and fix, I see that there's a number by there, and it's 1. So that means I have one thing that Google thinks that I should merge or that I should fix. If I click on it, I see that there are 2 emails or 2 contacts, and it recommends merging them. So I will just go to over here and click merge. And now it has taken those 2 different contacts and slapped them together as one person. if you have multiple contacts, that should be one contact, and you have them, with mismatching information, it will then ask which one of this information do you want. Or if in the case of like emails or labels, it will just add all of them into the one contact. In case you're moving emails, or you want to import or export them, your contact list, on the left-hand side, here are those options: import, export, or print. If you print, that would do a printout, which is essentially a PDF of all of your contacts with all of their details, in case you wanted a paper copy.
So Tim, did you see the question in chat?
Can I add contacts from received email? If you receive an email from an individual person, it should automatically add them to your email. But if you want to guarantee that process, what you do is you just hover over the person's name until you get this option, and then you would hit the person with a plus sign to manually add them into your contacts. Also, if they have on their public-facing profile have information like their birthday or cell phone or whatever, it will also automatically import them. If the person has a signature line, it will also import that information too. But you would just click on it, and then that person would then show up in your contacts. Mary.
Yay.
The other thing that's nice is if you if someone isn't automatically being added to your contacts, you can go to frequently contacted, and this is a list of people who have sent you the most email and that you've responded to, and then you can also add people from directly in here to your contacts. Are there any questions about contacts or Gmail in general? Because we're at the point where we're in the questions phase.
Anybody have any last questions for Tim?
Yeah, so I changed my name, so I changed my email address, and how do I put the two contacts? I've got two different contact lists. How do I merge them?
Yeah, so what I would do is I would delegate access, which would essentially merge them. If you're still using both email addresses, 100% delegate. If you're trying to move from one email address to another, you could still use delegate, but I would probably just go to your contacts in the email that you're leaving, go to export, and then you would then import into the new contacts or the new Gmail address. But what you can do is delegate access for like a quick and easy fix. Settings, more settings. Use the gear icon in the top right. More settings. They may have changed this on me. I will double check. Huh. Yeah, okay. That's weird. This is what I sound like when I'm speechless.
We can figure it out and send it when I send this.
Yeah, it's probably going to be like blindingly obvious whenever I'm not doing anything live. But in the case of two emails that you're trying to move to, I would just go to export and then import.
That makes sense.
If you are kind of doing a more holistic way, what you're also able to do is you are able to go to send mail as. If you're using 2 Gmail addresses, what you can do is you can kind of link them right here. So you would go to settings and then all settings, and then you would add your other email address in this send mail as option, which would allow you to, from either email, send on behalf of your new email. If that makes sense. And this would also allow you to grant access to your account. So you could take your new account and have your old account grant it access so you can still view it while only signing into your new account.
That's great. Well, you have certainly covered a lot of material, Tim. I think I'm thanking you. If anybody has any questions, and I'm sure you will, as you think about everything and you see the recording, feel free to email me. We will follow up. I'll follow up with Tim and we'll get some answers.
Yeah.
Okay. Any last questions before I end the recording?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I get forwarded emails with everyone's email address showing. And I'm not at all successful in getting them to not do that. Is there some polite way to get them to hide them? To BCC them?
It's kind of just up to them, unfortunately.
Okay,
So a nicely worded email, maybe.
yeah, okay. I thought there might be a quick way, so, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tim.